what I saw spiritually in Paris. If you've ever wondered what you might see spiritually in Paris, this is the video for you. I am a seer. I see in the spiritual realm only with Jesus, and this was what my first trip to Paris in 2023 looked like. I was so excited. I felt like I was just going to go have an amazing 2 weeks and explore and all these things, and I felt like Jesus was just inviting me to go on this journey, and it was going to be amazing, and so it was. It really, really was. But when I pulled into Paris, I felt the intense love and delight and pleasure of God. And 2 days later, promptly started getting house calls from the local principalities and wound up getting very hellaciously sick on a loop for about 2 weeks while I was there. I got strep, norovirus, and bronchitis all within the space of 2 weeks. And I would see one of these local principalities and then I would get hellaciously sick. Now, I've been all over the world. I really have not ever felt nervous or afraid of spirits or principalities. I am a very peaceful, restful person, and I believe Colossians 1, which says that all these things have been created and that they are created beings and that they are not the head honchos. But there was something a little bit different about Paris where I realized that a lot of darkness has just been allowed to be unchecked for some time and has been invited in. And when I realized how much was going on spiritually in Paris, I really, instead of perhaps what the hope would have been after having such a crazy few weeks, I actually had a very different set of experiences where I started to ask God better questions about why these sorts of beings were in Paris. I saw like a Baal looking figure, a big bull. I saw a lot of fairly unsavory principalities and powers while I was there, and I had a very strong reaction to them where I was getting sick on a loop, which is not normal for me. And so when I realized what a great big show had been cooked up by darkness, I actually took that to the Lord and really began to pray and to study and to learn more about Paris. And what I found out is that Paris and France have some of the highest recorded levels of angels and humans interacting together. And that France has an incredibly rich spiritual history dating back to the time of Jesus, actually, or shortly thereafter. That they have an incredibly rich history of angels and humans partnering together. And when I started to take in that information, I went back to Paris with different expectations and different eyes and a different understanding that where darkness tries to show its hand in such a dramatic way that there's something behind it that is much, much greater than the darkness. And I have now seen a lot of angelic activity in Paris. And I believe that God wants to stem the tide and turn the tide in Paris. And that God wants to come alongside people who believe in Paris, and that God wants to bless this land and see it restored to its rightful spiritual inheritance, which is not darkness, but is light. Hey there, I'm Mary. I see in the spiritual realm, but only with Jesus, and I love France, If you or someone that you know loves France, or if you are working or serving in France, or if your ecclesia has needs in France, please let me know. I would really love to partner with you.